Hey folks, we're here on a public land elk hunt and we just witnessed one of the classic mistakes of elk hunting in the mountains. So this morning we came in here and across from us 510 yards we glassed two bulls that were bedded like they normally do, anywhere from a third to halfway down the slope. And one of them stands up and he's looking uphill. And here's what happened. Say the bulls were bedded about here. Some other hunters came in from above right at daylight, and the thermal carried their scent right down to those bulls. And all of a sudden, whoom, he and his buddy just take off. Well, a little while later, here comes the hunter walking down the ridge, again with the wind at his back. We say that because we get a lot of questions about what are thermals and how do they work. And those of you who've hunted the West and have lived in the mountains a long time, you know this. So this is going to be pretty elementary. But if you live someplace that's kind of flat, someplace where you don't have this thermal effect, hopefully this will be helpful. Let's just assume this is the slope of a mountain, this slanted rock here. It starts up here and it comes down. In the morning, the heavier air sinks. So you're going to have a morning thermal coming down. They call it a thermal, but it's the equivalent of a wind that's coming downhill. So in the morning, in most instances, you want to be going uphill because the wind is coming this way. And then sometime, it depends on what season of the year. Right now it's early December. So now about 9:30, 10 o'clock, you start having a change as the sun comes up and starts heating the ground. The lower ground starts getting warmed up, and now it starts reversing. And for most of the day, from late morning until early afternoon, late afternoon, it's going to go the other direction. The thermal's going to go uphill. And then in the evening, that last half hour, especially once the sun goes over the horizon, it reverses and it does the same thing. The wind or the thermal comes downhill. Now there are times of the day where it's not perfect. It's not like it goes this way, oops, time to change and go that way. When it's changing, you start getting a lot of mixing, and you'll have some places where it's going downhill, some places going uphill. The other thing you'll see, especially in the morning, is this side, you can see my hand is still partially shaded over here. In shaded areas, that downhill thermal will last longer. This side over here where my hand is in the sun's hitting this. On this side, the morning thermal will start sooner. So there's times, if say this is a drainage that you're hunting, you're over on this side and the wind's coming up. Okay, great. And then you hear a bugle or you see an elk over here and you cross over and the thermals aren't real steady yet. It's early morning and you're in the shade and all of a sudden your wind goes downhill. Bull smells you, gone. When it comes to elk hunting, you can sometimes fool an elk's eyes. Occasionally you can fool his ear, but you will never fool his nose. You have to play the wind. And the number one key in the mountains of playing the wind is knowing what the thermals do. Downhill in the morning, eventually kind of getting to this point of not knowing what to do. And then as the sun hits the surfaces and starts warming them, a consistent uphill thermal. And just know that those thermals at times will follow the contour of the landscape too. And you might have thermals that come straight up out of here. You might have some that go more up the canyon. You just got to pay attention to it. That's why you see successful elk hunters are usually walking around with their wind checker and they're checking it all the time. Thermals, it's a pretty easy thing. You just need to understand what the thermal is doing at the time of day you're hunting. And hopefully you won't have the problem that this guy had today. Thanks for watching.